This is my iPhone buyer's guide for 2022 and why I decided on the phones I did. First, the oldest phone I'd recommend anyone buy is an iPhone 11, but I still wouldn't say it's the best recommendation. It's not a new phone at this point, it's 3 years old almost, and it's lacking so many features that would help in the long term. The iPhone 11 does not have 5G, which might not be needed right now, but in the future, as 5G speeds increase and towers get placed in more areas, 5G will be more convenient to have and recommended heavily. The iPhone 11 also doesn't have the new design, which means in the design areas, it's outdated and will continue to look outdated. The iPhone 11 was released in September 2019, and the 11 Pro was discontinued in October 2020. The iPhone 11 is still being sold, but might not be sold for much longer. I would recommend an SE3 over an 11 because the SE3 has a newer processor, 5G, a cheaper price point, and was released in 2022. The only upgrade you get by using the iPhone 11 is potentially the cameras, but the cameras will look a bit worse in some areas. The size, if you have a regular iPhone 11, it will have the 6.1-inch size, and Face ID, and the full screen design. All of these are pretty major, but still, the performance and everything else that you get from buying a newer phone will make it worth it in the long term. The iPhone 12 is a newer phone than the 11 by a little over a year. It's got 5G, the new design, a better CPU, and year-over-year improvements. I wouldn't recommend one as it's getting a bit older and the price point is bad for my research. It's better to buy an iPhone 13 non-Pro than a 12 Pro in every situation, in my opinion at least, because the 12 Pro has shorter battery life, worse cameras in my opinion, as the colors are overall just worse in the camera department, and the 13 has the new notch. The iPhone 13 is still a pretty new phone. It's got a good amount of software updates incoming. It's much better than the 12 with longer battery, much better cameras on the Pro lineup, ProMotion, and what I'd say are probably the biggest camera upgrades we've seen year over year, especially compared to the 12 series. And the whole lineup is generally pretty good. I would recommend an iPhone 13, but with that said, I would wait for the iPhone 14, however, as it is rumored to have a lot of improvements on the Pros. But if you want the regular 14, I would just go for a 13, as it's rumored to have the same processor and the same overall design. If you're looking for a Max phone, which I'd personally heavily suggest against, but if you really want to have that slight bit more content shown on the screen at once, the iPhone 14 will have a Plus or Max variant without buying into the Pro lineup. The iPhone SE 3rd generation was released recently, and I can continue to recommend it as it's got the new A15 processor, stronger glass, 5G, a pretty low price point for a brand new device, and even though the design is old, it's been perfected over the years, and this is the newest and best device you can get with the rounded design. The SE2 is a pretty decent price, and for what it is, I'd recommend it over a 10 or a 10s, but if you can, buy an SE3 over the SE2. The iPhone XS is a bad phone. It has a lot of issues relating to hardware, so I can't recommend it at all. I can't recommend the 10R as it's an older phone and the 10 would be a better purchase. But if you can, buy an 11 or better yet a 12. But I would stay clear of the 10s with that said. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus and the 10 are old phones at this point, being 5 years old almost, so I can't recommend buying those because they're the oldest supported devices that run the upcoming iOS 16 release, and they're likely to be dropped in the coming years from software support. And the 10s and 10R are likely to be dropped in the next 2 years as well. If you're looking at a 6, 6S, or 7, just don't buy one. Those phones are going to be 6 years or older now. They don't get iOS 16, and the devices are overall slow and not worth it to purchase. I would not recommend somebody buy a used device. My reason for that is, as the name suggests, they are used. Somebody has used these before, and they are likely worn out in some way. Even if someone took great care of their phone, the batteries will likely be degraded as that's how batteries work. Spending the time and taking the work to repair these old devices is just not worth it for the average person. They're better to be traded into Apple so they can get recycled or whatever, and you can get some credit towards a new phone, like an iPhone 13 or 14. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully this helped you. and goodbye. And I'm sorry if this video seemed rushed. It was. I wanted to get a video out on September 1st, and it is currently September 1st, and I did not have that much time to make this video.